episode of Feeding Fatty. I'm your host, Roy.
I'm Terry.
Of course, we are the podcast journaling, chronicling our journey to health and wellness. That can consist of, our diet, what we eat, not necessarily a diet, and then also exercise and movement, which is imperative for us. We do not move enough. And then also, our mindset and being able to sustain our changes. We really have to get our minds right and wrap it around. So, and we also talk about our journey a lot and some different things like diabetes, which I struggle with. And then we also have professionals in the field on. And today we are glad to have Sherry Diamond with us. Terry, I'm going to let you introduce Sherry.
Yeah, Sherry Diamond is an entrepreneur and a coach for her program, Balance for Life. She teaches others how to live from the inside out and not the outside in, how to eat cleaner and use cleaner products no matter their age or ailments. She developed the program 3 years ago after much research and lost 103 pounds. She is 67 years young and does not take a lot of medication. And Sherry, I'm going to let you talk to us a little bit about your journey almost 4 years ago, how you started out and why you ended up where you are today and how you did that.
Well, hi, Rory and Terry. It's so fun to be with you. I was so looking forward to today because we've talked a few times and, you guys resonate with me. So it's so fun to be here with you today.
Well, thank you for that. And thanks for taking time out of your day.
Yeah.
So my journey has been, as I've told you, I come from a Jewish family where food is everything. It's like our life. And how I was socialized as a child really is what got me to be a yo-yo dieter and be overweight most of my life. But really, as an adult in my 40s and 50s is when I think I was really at my worst. And it's funny because when I look back now, how I was socialized as a kid, if we were all together with our family and everybody was eating or having ice cream and it was a party, perfect, eat whatever you want. But come home from school and put your hand in the cookie jar, and my mom or my grandma would say, yeah, I don't think you should be eating that. You might be getting a little too fat. And they said those words to me when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
So by the time I got older, I didn't know if I was supposed to eat the food, hide the food, or what I was supposed to do with the food. And a lot of times I suffered in silence, but not terrible, because I have to say, being overweight never stopped me from anything. Yeah. Like I dated, I got married, men liked me. It wasn't like people looked at me like I was a horrible obese person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It didn't affect me that way. But when I was 64, I went to the doctor and she told me that I was knocking on the diabetic door. And up until that point, and still now, the only medication I take is for my thyroid because I have hypothyroidism. And that's the only pill I take, and I'm grateful for it. So I thought, you know what? If I'm knocking on the diabetic door, I'm terrified of needles. I am not going to take insulin. So I better start looking at what's going on with food. And honestly, before that, maybe a couple years before that, I had a bad rotator cuff. And I was in terrible pain. And they didn't know if I was going to have my shoulder operated on, but I did it. And I started researching foods that were going to help heal my shoulder. And it was all about antioxidants because antioxidants are just, everything, blueberries, strawberries, all the dark berries, they're great for us. Spinach, everything that has antioxidants. It's one of the best things you can eat. So I started doing that and I learned that certain foods I was eating, especially with too much sugar, are terrible if you have problems with your joints or anything like that, and everything that causes inflammation. Yeah. So I went on this journey. My brother's the one that started me on the journey and started talking to me about eating cleaner and plant-based and different things. And I did, and I lost 103 pounds. I'll never get fat again. And I tell everybody that I killed that fat girl. I buried her and I watched her die. And she's never allowed back here again.
Wow. Yeah, what a good feeling. And, talking about the family, and this isn't placing blame, but, I grew up in the same situation, but it was more the emotional eating. Like, if you came home and had a bad day, it's like, oh no, well, let's have something to eat. That'll fix you up. Or it's like, the celebration, like, yay, things went awesome for you. Let's celebrate. And,
have a cake.
I kind of have an addiction to ice cream, and I love ice cream. Could eat, just a ton of it. I could eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we've kind of talked a lot about it, and I think I figured it out. Is that whenever I would be with my grandparents or my dad, whenever I would work with them in the summer, like either helping them on their job or maybe just mowing the yard for them, both of my grandpas would be like, hey, we've worked hard enough today. Let's go down to, one of them went to the Dairy Queen and one of them went to the drugstore. Let's go get an ice cream. And then, I think
That's
back
back when drugstores used to have ice cream
where they had,
counter.
where they had,
Back in the covered wagon days. Sorry.
yeah, no, and then, like with my dad, when I would go to work with him in the summer, I can remember vividly sitting in the Dairy Queen with the jukebox playing a Van Morrison song, eating an ice cream sundae, taking an afternoon break from, being out working hard. So, when you think back about that, I think it's partly the ice cream, it's good, but it's that relationship, it's the happy times, it's just, so much wrapped up in that.
Yeah, the emotion of it.
Yeah.
You know what, Roy? I knew there's a reason I liked you. I came from a family where my dad literally could sit down after dinner and eat a bowl or two of ice cream and lay down on the couch and take a nap.
Yeah.
Right? And ice cream was like, I love ice cream. Yeah. And up until probably, I can't even believe I'm going to admit this, but I will, is that up until maybe 8 years ago, it was no problem to sit down and eat a pint of Haagen-Dazs peanut butter and chocolate ice cream. It was like delightful.
But
my
guess what? Favorite.
all we're doing, we're just stuffing everything that we're not dealing with down in the form of food and happiness, and we're calling it something else. And that's really what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can say that was one of my bad parenting skills was, because we would go out, we'd get the kids one of those, the pints like that. And of course, I would come home and eat mine before they'd even get a spoon out of the drawer. And then, and they were like normal eating people, so they might take a few spoonfuls out and be like, oh, I'm going to save this for later. And they'd put it in the freezer. Well, then when they would get sent to bed and I'd get hungry and night, I'd go in there and scrounge around and eat one of theirs. Then they'd get up all hacked off the next morning. And my daughter, she finally caught on, and so she'd start buying flavors that she knew I didn't like and wouldn't go in there and eat. Oh my God!
Oh, that's too funny.
Oh yeah. So anyway, I think our, it's. I don't, like I said, I'm not placing blame, but I think it's just patterns that we have grown up with in our life that, some of us have probably taken to the extremes and don't do well with. And so, that's part of what I'm trying to do is, the ice cream has to go. But, it's funny, even now to this day, sometimes when I'll be out working in the back car and I'll come in like, ooh, why don't we go get an ice cream, go up to the store. That's just my go-to thing. So.
Right. But what's funny about what you just said about let's have ice cream and about blaming, I never blamed anybody, because honestly, when you sit and you look back at why you do the things you do, it all comes from a place of love. Right. Because our parents didn't know any better. That's what they did. So they taught us what they knew. Right. But for some of us, like me, it was, you can eat it when we say you can, but then there's other times when you can't because you're getting a little too chubby. Yeah. But I will say that the ice cream, you're right, Roy, it has to go. Yeah.
It's gone. It's hard, but Terry's good about helping me with that for sure.
Oh my gosh, I try not to have any snacky anything. It's hard.
Well, you have to have snacks. You just have to have good snacks.
Well, I know.
She means the bad
raw nuts. Yeah, I just mean the bad stuff.
I'm going to send you a recipe.
Okay.
That's delicious. For dark chocolate peanut butter cups, and they're made with almond butter, and they taste the next best thing to Reese's peanut butter cups, and that can take place of the ice cream.
Okay, oh, wow. I want that. I want that, because I am a peanut butter chocolate person. When you're talking about the Haagen-Dazs peanut butter chocolate, that was mine. Oh. That was my go-to.
Right. In fact, when I make them, which I don't very often, but I make them when I feel like I need something sweet, because I eat dark chocolate.
Yeah.
And when I make it, it makes like 24 or 30 pieces, and I will eat 2 or 3 at a time, and I can't do that. So I give most of it away to my neighbor or a friend,
Yeah.
and then I keep like 5 pieces. So I eat it once in a while because it'll keep for a month.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So when you
Awesome.
decided to make the change, I understand the points that led up to it. So what are some things that you did? I guess in the first few days or first few weeks. What are some of those initial steps that you took that you've been able to stick with?
Well, I would say a lot of it was that mentally I made a decision because I realized that, as much as we don't want to admit it, situations that I've been in or people I've been around or relationships, whatever it is, that aren't really good for me, there's people that are trying to enable us, and being around the food police. And I noticed that I was around food police. They'd be like, "Are you supposed to be eating that?" Well, meanwhile, they shouldn't be eating it either. And you know what I mean? And they're saying to me, they're watching me, what I'm doing. And I decided I wasn't going to tell anybody what I'm doing. I'm just going to do it
Yeah.
because then I don't have to listen to anything anybody has to say because it doesn't matter.
Right.
But what's interesting is then when you start to change, some people don't like the change that you're making, so they're not supportive. And I made a decision that I only want to be going forward in my life around people that are supportive of me, that are my cheerleaders, that want me to do better in life. And if I make a mistake, they're going to say to me, "You know what? Here's where you misstepped, but I'm still your friend and I love you." And that's the kind of people I want around in my life going forward, not the people who are creating all this negative energy and, "Oh, woe is me," and
Yeah.
because they don't want to change or know they should. They try to make me feel bad because I did. No.
Right.
This isn't about this
Not
isn't about anything else. I did the work and that's it.
Yeah.
And I never say to anybody else ever when I go anywhere, and anybody who knows me will attest to it. I never say to people, "You shouldn't be eating that. That's not good for you." I never say that because people have to live. My mother used to always tell me, "You have to live and let live."
Right.
And whatever you do, you do. Just don't tell me what I should be doing because obviously what I'm doing is working.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I know it's become a lot more important, not only in this journey, but in a lot of other things that we're going through. It's just, you got to stay in your own lane, run your own race, and
Right.
you can't. And I think, in business, we talk about you are the sum parts financially and in your career, but where the people you surround yourself, the 5 people you surround yourself with, that their average income is what yours
Right.
is. But I think it's the same in this wellness journey as well. We have to really protect ourselves from all this negative influx that others can tend to give to you. And it's okay to be selfish and say, you know what, we just don't want to be around. We can still love you, we can still like you, but we don't have to be around that constant barrage of negative. And I understand that because sometimes I take it as a backhanded passive aggressive, like, "Oh, well, I know that you're eating a certain way, so we cook this," or "What can you eat on your certain and I'm like, there's really no certain deal. It's just, for us, we're not on anybody's plan or anything. We're just trying to eat healthy, trying to do more, plant-based. Not that we've cut out all meat or fish or whatever. We still have it if we want it in a good combination, but instead of making the meat the focal point of the meal, more the plant's the focal point of the meal and then a little bit of protein. But anyway, it's not, I guess
But
people,
it's not about the meat. And I eat grass-fed beef. I eat fish. I just don't eat chicken because it's a preference. I don't eat turkey, and I eat omega-3 eggs. So you can still, you see, that's the misconception. Plant-based means you can't have anything that's meat or fish. No, you
right,
can.
right,
But you
Can.
see, the people that are saying that to you, Roy, they're going, "I know I shouldn't be eating this, but
right,
let's make
right,
it about you."
right, right.
And good
Yeah.
for you that you don't respond.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to say, look, we're just on a path of our own. If I want to be honest, if I want to eat a piece of chocolate cake, I'm going to sit down and eat one. Should I eat one? And do I choose not to? I try very hard, yes, to pass that stuff up. But, I think the point that we tell ourselves or try to tell ourselves you can't do something, some of us are strong-willed enough to say, I will show you that I can eat not only one piece of that cake, I can eat
I
the
can eat the
whole
whole
dang thing.
Oh my gosh, you tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm a rebel child. When, every time you tell me no, no has been my favorite word since I was 3 years old.
Right.
All you have to do is tell me no, and inside I'm going, really? Well, I'll show you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
me too.
Exactly.
I so do that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So-
Go ahead.
No, I was going to go ahead.
Oh no, I just wanted to talk. Okay, so you said that you have Hashimoto's. Is that correct?
Correct.
So
So I have hypothyroidism, which
Okay.
means that my thyroid doesn't move, really.
yeah, that's the same as me. I have been taking. Let's see, when was I diagnosed? Probably 20 to 25 years ago with that, and I like you. I lost about 3 or 4 years ago. I lost about 85, 90 pounds. And
Wow.
I just quit taking every medication I was on. And the Synthroid was one of them. But I did end up going back on it because my blood work showed that I need to. And I fluctuated, 5 to 10 pounds here and there more. But I've tried to balance like Roy's type 2 diabetes with my hypothyroidism and his hypertension, trying to incorporate everything all in one meal for, to address those certain situations. Can you do that? Do you have to address everything differently? Can it all can kind of be the same thing? Do you have any words of wisdom for that? Because I get
I
bogged
do.
down.
And the answer is yes, yes, and yes. It's one program for everything.
Okay.
Okay. So for me, I can't get off my thyroid medicine. The only thing that's happened to me, which is good, is that's my goal is to get off of it, but I don't think I ever will, because I should have taken it when I was a kid. But our doctor told my mom when I was a preteen and going through puberty that no, it's just baby fat and she'll grow out of it. We don't need to test your thyroid. And my mom listened to him. And I didn't get diagnosed until I was 40, 41. And my hair was falling out and I didn't have any energy. And I was sleeping at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh.
So I went to the doctor and found out that my thyroid completely shut down. And I started taking medicine. So I've been taking it for 27 years. But I am going to tell you that hypothyroidism, any kind of thyroid, any autoimmune disease, it doesn't matter what it is, high blood pressure, diabetes, anything that you take any medication for other than maybe an occasional aspirin is all about the food. And this is like, what we've talked about a million times about food being medicine. I used to go, oh yeah, I'm so sick of hearing food is medicine. And guess what? I was now
It's true.
Now I'm almost like a hypocrite because food is medicine. Like, what was wrong with me? I wasn't ready to listen. But you too, and everybody in the world that wants to eat better, all you have to do, there are certain foods that I teach you in my course, you just have to let go of. And everybody thinks this is a horrible thing. Like, people say to me, does that mean I can't eat cottage cheese every day with canned pears for lunch? That's right, you can't. So if that's so terrible to give up because you're going to swap it with food that's going to not only keep you full longer, it's going to take away your cravings. Yes, just give me 1 week to show you, and I promise you, everybody feels better. My primary care physician is on my program.
That's amazing. Wow. When I read that, oh my gosh, how did that transpire? I mean, you went in and told her.
I inspired her because I'm the one. She's the one that told me I was knocking on the diabetic door.
And you just went and told her what you were eating?
And every year I come back and she's like, oh my God. And then when I came back a few years ago, she's like, Sherry, you are like an inspiration. she only needs to lose maybe 8 pounds. But she told me she's got a lot of belly fat. It's because she's stressed out and all kinds of other things. And then she's not eating good. So she said, I need to be on your program because I know you know what you're talking about. And I need to listen to you. I was floored.
That is a great, oh my gosh, you can't get a better endorsement than that.
Yeah. And she's not on any social media. So I can't get her to do a testimonial. But right now she's going through some personal things. So, the only thing that I have is I have her permission, but I don't really want to do it, is to show her email that says, I need to be on your program. I'm bloated. And she gave me permission to talk about it, but I don't really like to put people's business out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so what are some other long-term things, or as we start through this journey, I know that we start down one path, and like us, we've made not major shifts, but we just, we try to shift a little bit to make things work out from us. So what are some other things that you've done for yourself?
So one of the things that I think everybody needs to do, one of the reasons I put together my plan is people would say to me, wow, you look so good. You probably, feel like on top of the world. And honestly, the best part of losing 103 pounds is no lie. When I look in the mirror, I go, yeah, you look good, but I'm not the type of person that goes, oh yeah, you're like all that and a bag of chips. I'm not like that. The thing that's so rewarding for me is that I have never felt healthier, because one of the things that happened is people were saying to me, I'm so busy, I can't do this, I can't do that. And I thought, wait a minute, this is why everybody's running around with their heads like a chicken. Okay, right. What's the saying?
Chicken with their heads cut off.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh my gosh. And I said, it's not easy. If it was easy, would people do it? So I made it so easy that if a 6-year-old in your house can read my food list, anybody can do it. I made it so easy. That was A. And B, I realized that people have to make time. You can't get up and work 14 hours and take care of kids and do this and do that. You have to take an hour a day. You have to go for a walk. You have to do some kind of exercise, because once you start eating better, doing better, thinking better, and moving a little better, your brain becomes clearer and you think better.
Right.
And the next thing you know, everything in life is skipping along, and all of a sudden you go, wow, I've never been this happy with this much energy on top of the world. There isn't anything I can't do. And that's how I feel. So you have to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And sleep is a huge component as well. I mean, you have to have.
Should have muted her when I had the chance.
Oh my gosh. He can stay up till, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning because he has to get so many things done on his list. But then he'll just be so exhausted. He'll come to bed. And of course, he's a dude, so he falls asleep at the drop of a hat. As soon as his head hits the pillow, he's out. And then, then a few hours later, he's up again trying. And I know, I have issues with it too, but sleep is just such an important component of being able to complete the whole picture,
Yeah.
Well, I am going to say you're absolutely correct, Terry, but
you hear that, Roy? Sorry.
No, I understand how Roy is, because I used to be like that. I was like that at a time in my life where it was like one more thing and one more thing and one more thing. And before I knew it, when I was in my 40s, I was suffering from sleep deprivation, because I was going. I was telling people, oh yeah, I can get away with 4 hours of sleep. No. And then when you cut out all the noise around you and you try to go to sleep and you start eating cleaner, you get tired, you go to sleep. I sleep 7 hours a night, sometimes 8, and I hardly ever wake up. I sleep like a child.
Yeah, and it's, to me, sleep, and I know this, and Terry is jokingly giving me a hard time.
I do.
Because I know this sleep is a bad trigger for me, because when I wake up in the morning a little bit tired, then I want to eat more all day, or, at 10 o'clock at night when I've got a few more things I want to do. It's like, if I just have that snack, so it to me, it sets off really bad eating habits. And I said this before, I think on an earlier episode, but I traded in my bigger, well-known fitness watch, and I just didn't like it because I didn't use the bells and whistles on it. Went back to the Fitbit, and they have got a really good sleep score component, and I actually hit an 83 last Wednesday night. I was so excited because I'm usually not that good. But anyway, I've really tried to start monitoring all of this, because there's an old saying in business, we can't change what we don't monitor. And I think that's good for us in health, the sleep, the steps, the blood sugar, all of these different things that we may know about that we need to monitor, because, when I have some really bad sleep scores, my next days are not that good because I'm tired, the brain fog, eating worse. Then I don't want to exercise because I'm tired and I've eaten bad. It's just.
And can I just say one other thing for you, Roy, because you do have diabetes? The not sleeping produces more cortisol. The cortisol in your produces belly fat, and when you have diabetes, it's not good. So you're producing more cortisol by not sleeping good, and that's why the brain fog and everything else. I know about the brain fog. When I remember when I was in my late 40s, early 50s, I was working for a big telecommunications company, and I was working 10, 12 hours a day at home, working. And then I would go out at night with my friends and eat pasta. And I get up in the morning and I felt like I was in a coma from food, but it's a food coma.
Yeah.
Right? And you should be careful, because that is a key. That's going to be key with you along with food.
Yeah. And I noticed the last month has been terrible. We've been assaulted by the ones and zeros of the world. The digital stress that we've been through has been crazy. But, I had very little sleep, and I noticed that my blood sugar was extremely high and extremely prolonged high. I was having trouble controlling it. But it's funny because that night, last week when there was a couple nights in a row that I was pretty close to being in the 80s. My blood sugar was way down. It was much more easier to manage. So definitely saw that for sure. And the food coma, like ours around here is going to the Mexican food restaurant with the chips and the margaritas. They have a lot of these flavored ones. They have this syrup that's just very, very sweet. And so what I would notice is the next morning when I would wake up, and sometimes it'd be till like 10 o'clock. My head would be so clogged up. I think I have a food allergy too, because I could actually, it's just like some kind of an allergy, that my head would be so stopped up till 10 or 11 in the morning before I could finally get out from under that.
Well, listen, nobody loved chips and salsa and some beers better than me. I do. Right. But not anymore. Yeah. But you can still go out and drink and have fun. You just can't drink margaritas.
Right. Well,
but you can drink tequila.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we talked about. It's been a month or so ago. We maybe it was, I tell you when it was. It was May 5th. We went up to the local restaurant and we were eating and had a margarita or two and came home the next day. Felt bad, and I just told Terry, I'm like, okay, here's the thing. We went up there for socialization, for me and her to sit and talk. We didn't need the chips or the margarita. Why can't and this is the thing for me, I'm not saying everybody, but for me, why can't I realize that it's fun to go up there and sit on the patio and enjoy? I could do that with a glass of water, a glass of tea, and eating a piece of grilled chicken or a taco salad. Make healthier choices, be in the same atmosphere, and have just as much fun. It just doesn't sound that much fun.
But it is. But you're absolutely right. Because I go out to eat, and I go out with my friends. And, one of the things I will say about alcohol is that depending on how long you've been drinking, you get to be a certain age. And I noticed this when I was starting to eat cleaner, that drinking a beer was horrible and doing different things. And so I stopped doing it. And the only alcohol that I I like to drink champagne and I like to drink tequila.
Yeah.
And champagne, you can only have one glass. So I cut that out because if I can't have at least two, sometimes three, then it's not a celebration.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
And so now I just drink, I could sip on a tequila for a couple hours and I'm good. But when I feel like going out and drinking, which isn't very often, I'll have more than one, but that's it, because then I know how I need to eat during the day so I don't have to worry about the scale. And I never do, because you don't have to count calories on my program. You just have to eat clean in, certain times of the day.
Yeah.
That's all. It's so easy. I mean, it's so easy.
Yeah. And people don't think about the caloric content. I'm not a big drinker anyway. We may go out once in a while and have one, but I reference this as a friend that she had the lap band put on, and we used to my high school class used to meet every Thursday night. We would just have a little get together, and she had the lap band, and she got to where she started gaining weight. But what I noticed was at these little get-togethers, she may have 3 or 4 of these margaritas, and so I asked the guy one time, not in front of her, I wasn't trying to embarrass her, but I asked the guy, "What's the caloric content of those things?" Never really thought about it. About 12 to 1,500. So, here was somebody that was consuming, 4,500 calories just in drinks alone in one evening. And so, we don't think about, never really thought about the impact of things like that.
Yeah, it does have an impact. And as you get older, you can't, I mean, for me, I rarely drink. And I don't feel like it because it feels different now that my body feels so healthy.
Yeah.
It actually gets in the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, and really, it's not too late ever to start, right?
Ever. Listen, nobody knows that better than me.
Yeah,
I started in my 60s, and everything fantastic in my life, including my program and my business partner, Karen, and working with her and everything we're doing together. This is going to be when everybody's retiring and hanging out. I'm doing exactly the opposite. I'm going to be working and having the best next 5 to 7 years of my life. And then I'm good.
And you found something that you love to do. And some people, it takes a lifetime to do, or they never find that balance, to do something that they love and to make a living at it,
Well, I always knew I'd wind up here. I just didn't know when.
How?
No, really, because my whole life, when I mean, this is why I teach people about living your life from the inside out. When I look around me now, and this isn't a bad thing, and I'm not saying anything bad about anyone, so I want to make it very clear. But for me personally, when everybody was chasing marrying the richest guy and having the most money and having the cars that everybody says, oh, look what you can afford. That stuff is all nice. Look, I like nice things like everybody else, but I wasn't chasing it. I was chasing happiness and being myself and being who I am. And, I moved away from home when I was young and all that stuff. I just wanted to be on the journey of me.
Yeah.
And here I am at 67 and I'm standing in the best legs I have ever been in and doing exactly what I love and want to do for the rest of my life. And I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's an awesome thing to remember
really
sometimes
is.
when we ask ourselves the why. If the why is just the money or the fame or the fortune, probably need to rethink that because when you get to a certain age, like I am, you start realizing it's the relationships, it's the time. Like yesterday, I hope I told this story once. I hope it's not repeating myself. If I am, you can stop me. But, we had a taping that canceled yesterday afternoon. So we loaded up the dogs and just went for a walk. And it was the best thing. We haven't done that in forever. But, I guess this last week, making a resurgence in thinking about us more, our health, and doing those, instead of us saying, hey, let's go eat somewhere, it was like, let's go for a walk somewhere. And it was a much better decision for us.
Well, yeah, and you change the perspective of your brain.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you every single day, I fit it in, whether it's morning, afternoon, the evening, it doesn't matter. I take my headphones and plug them into my phone, and I go for an hour to a 2 hour walk every day and listen to music and think and it just resets your brain, and you
Yeah.
think about all kinds of things instead of staying up half the night. Go for a walk and listen to music, or just sit down and meditate, or go sit outside in the backyard and lay in the grass. You know what I mean? Just something that's completely different, and you'll see how your perspective on everything changes.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's really important. And meditation, we've been getting into meditation a lot more, well, this year for sure, but that helps so much. And I got to tell you, I love to listen to loud music with my headphones, but I love to scream sing. And I try not to do it to Roy, but every once in a while I'll blurt something out off key for sure. But I love to scream sing. And if I'm in my car, I'm like, cranking it up, and that release, there's nothing like it. It's awesome.
I love it. I do that too. I mean, that's all I do. I just blast the music and let's go, right?
Yeah.
It'd be fun to
I
do
love
seeing
it.
somebody walking, scream singing. I'm gonna have to try that one. I'll do it with Roy. That'll be
Okay,
fun. We'll
yeah.
get some good looks.
Yeah.
Well, too bad you don't live closer. I would go walk with you every day.
Hey, if I come out that way, I'm calling you.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
So before we start wrapping up, the one thing y'all were talking about I was interested in is the thyroid issue. Are there certain foods that are good, bad, that you have to watch for that? Or is that just something that medication is really all you can do for it?
No, for me, what I thought I was doing when I was trying to lose weight, and maybe yo-yo dieting, I noticed that I was eating certain foods, and even though I was losing weight, my belly was still fat. And I still had that belly fat, which is, like we talked about before, that creates illnesses. That's where the illnesses start, in your gut.
Yeah.
And so for me, the medicine is very important, but the foods that for sure you have to cut out, you have to cut out sugar, and you have to cut out wheat. I don't care if the doctor tells you because you're diabetic you should eat oatmeal or a piece of wheat toast for breakfast. I'm going to tell you, don't do it.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, those kind of things, anything white is horrible when you have diabetes. It's horrible. It's horrible for all of us because there's a saying, if it's white, it's not right.
Yeah, I've heard that. Right. I mean, all the starches, all the everything.
And
But
it's not about keto, and it's not about calories, and it's about only one thing. And I can't give away all the tea, but I am going to tell you that it's the one thing that's on my food list that it's left out of every single food. And that's the key to having a healthy inside so that you can live from the inside out.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, and well, I was going to say, and I had heard about the wheat as well, and
the sugar.
and the sugar. Yeah, the white, everything white.
Yeah, we had. I don't want to.
No, go ahead.
No, I didn't want to interrupt, but we had an eye doctor on, and he was saying, and I don't know you'd have to go listen to the episode because there's a lot of probably doctor terms in there, but something about he cut out the wheat and the
Dairy
wheat
too.
and the dairy in the morning, and he started having him a smoothie that was based on kale or spinach and some other things, and maybe some berries in the right quantity. But there's another score that you get for your eyes, and he said that this improved their score by not having that wheat in the morning for breakfast, that it was really detrimental. And him and his wife took this test together and scored like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And I think he said most people were down like 6 or 7 or 8. But anyway, there's a lot of other, besides just the weight and how we feel, there's a lot of other implications to other functions of our body that go along with this food as well.
Exactly. And you know what the doctor said, I'm sure all of it is true, because the things that you swap out, the foods that you swap out for, like the piece of toast or the oatmeal or the cereal with milk, you'd be surprised, just within, a short time, you can tell the difference as time goes on. It's very apparent when you're eating cleaner foods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a couple more things. We don't have to elaborate on it, but we've also learned that, so much of our health starts in our gut, even our brain health, and that, we've got to be sure and take care of that with what we're putting in. And, that gets us back to the original thing that you brought up, was that food is medicine. And it really is. If we eat the right things in the right quantities, we can make ourselves so much more healthier.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Because, it's like what you said earlier, Roy, about the way you eat when you don't sleep good. And then you have this food fog, like a brain fog,
Right.
because you grabbed the wrong snack or you did something, because you get a rush for a few minutes and then it goes away.
Right.
But when you're eating clean all the time, you stay fuller longer, and you don't get that kind of rush like you do from sugar. The rush you get is that you can actually feel the food, like you can feel it in your cells. It feels so good, and you start craving good food
Right.
instead of the bad food. And
Right.
that's the best part, was like, now going and eating ice cream, I look at it and I go, I can't believe I ever did this.
Yeah.
Like, why would I want to eat this? It's not even, it doesn't even appeal to me anymore.
I'm getting there, not quite. I'm almost there. We don't go near as much, so I'll be glad when it'd be hard standing in front of it, but I'll be glad that day when I can have the strength to stand in front of it and say, I'm not having that.
Well, if it doesn't come through the door and you don't put it in the freezer, you can't eat it.
Well, yeah.
I'm the stalker.
Yeah.
I mean, not Stalker, although, no. But I am the pantry stalker and the fridge stalker, so.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing a good job, but I think that you need to just let it sit in the freezer in the grocery store for somebody
Yes,
else.
That's
right.
right. I bypass
That's my
it.
advice.
I wave at it. See ya.
All right. Well, Sherry, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to be with us. Before we get away, a couple questions. First off, what is something that you do in your daily life, professional or personal, just a habit or a tool that you may use, something that adds a lot of value?
Well, one of the things I do every day when I wake up is, I don't meditate in the traditional way of meditating, but I get up and I sit without my phone on or anything for 10 minutes. And I just think about, today's going to be a good day and I'm grateful for everything, and I do that. But then the other thing that I do is, and I've really been doing it my whole life, is I get up and I'm ready for another day and let's go. And it's not going to be perfect, but let's have a good day and let's just keep moving forward and being positive, because if we're positive and we help other people get to where they want to go, then life is terrific. I think your attitude is really everything.
Right.
That's
and move
so
your
true.
body every day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Walk.
Yeah,
Take a
that's
walk.
important. And that's something, especially through the pandemic, just not feeling like I am blessed that I enjoy what I do, but that can be a curse because I can sit here for extremely
Hours.
long periods of time and, not get up and move. But another great thing about this Fitbit is it's got a 250 step an hour reminder. So, every hour I get up, make sure I get, just walking around the house, just make sure I get my 250 in, which
Right.
it's nice because it compounds. And at the end of the day, I've got 2,500 steps. So if we go walking or go to the gym or whatever we do, I've already got a pretty good, start on trying to get to my numbers every day. So
Yeah.
anyway,
And the small steps, that's what we've
Yeah.
been finding out. I mean, every day, more and more, it's beat into us that the small steps, it's all about the small steps to be able
Just
to
put
get
one
your-
foot in front of the other every day and be happy. And whatever it is that you really, really want, you really have to ask yourself, what do you really want? Because if you really want it bad enough,
Yeah.
then you're going to do it. But how bad do you want it? See, and that's the thing I had to ask myself. How bad did I want it?
Right.
I wanted it bad enough that I needed to change.
Yep.
And that's the key word, is change.
Yep.
That's right.
All right, Sherry. Well, thanks again. Tell everybody, who do you like to work with? How can you help them? And of course, how can they reach out and get a hold of you?
So I want to work with anybody and everybody. Anybody who is struggling in any area of their life, especially if it relates to food. You can go to our website. It's balanceorganically.com. And my link is balance with the number 4 life. So it's balance for life. You can send me an email at Sherry, SHERRY, at balanceorganically.com. And you can go on our Facebook page. It's called Balance for Life, and message me, reach out to me. And I just want people to know that for us, my business partner, Karen, I'm so grateful to her every day. She knows that she is one of the best things that ever happened to me. And for us, we do not want people it's not about money. So if you go on our website and maybe you can't afford exactly the amount that I charge, just let me know and I'll work with you, because my thing is, I want you to be healthy. This isn't about money. It's about getting healthy. And so if being healthy is something you want to do, then get in touch with me and we will work it out with you.
Okay.
That's
great.
awesome.
And we'll be sure and put all that in the show notes as well, so y'all can reach out to Sherry. Again, thank you so much. It's been very informative. We appreciate it very much.
You guys are the best. I had
thanks.
such a good time. And you know what? Even after this, please reach out to me for anything. I am going to send you the recipe.
Oh, yes.
But honestly, I know, and I said this to you in the beginning, we were meant to be friends and stick together.
All right.
That's right.
That's
All
great.
the support we can get.
And that's one
everywhere.
reason we love doing these shows, is because we meet so many fantastic
We do.
people from all over the world that we wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. So it's always a blessing for us to meet people like yourself. So thank you for that.
It is. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you for everything. You
Yeah.
guys are the best, and have
All
a
right.
lovely, lovely day.
Okay,
You
thanks.
too.
That's going to do it for another episode of Feeding Fatty. Of course, I am your host, Roy.
I'm Terry.
You can find us at www.feedingfatty.com. We're on all the major podcast platforms, iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Spotify. If we're not on one that you listen to, please reach out. We'd be glad to add that to make listening easier for you. We're also on all the major social media platforms, probably hang out on Instagram a little bit more than anywhere else. So please reach out there if you'd like to interact. Also, a video of this interview will go up on YouTube when the episode goes live, so be sure and check that out. Till next time, take care of yourself and take care of your health.